If you deal with dark circles, hollow under eyes, and can't seem to hide it with makeup, then this video is for you. So we're going to start with eye prep. Now the reason why this is important is because your skin around the eye area is the thinnest than anywhere else on your body. So as you can imagine, it's pretty delicate. Now as you can see, I've got some eye masks on here. I've had them on for roughly around 10 minutes. When I first applied them, they were pretty kind of like wet. You know, a lot of the serum that's kind of in this jar that you get is kind of quite wet. So it's dried up since then. So I know that this is kind of like got to work, and it's usually a little bit kind of like tacky once I take these off. Now the ones that I have on are the Pixi Beauty Detoxify eye patches. Now I really like these because they kind of revive your under eye area. I feel like they genuinely do really hydrate the area. I usually put these on kind of like on a day that I feel like my eyes are a little bit dry, a little bit dull, a little bit tired, and it works really well for me. You can get different ones, like I think this is the Detoxify, but you've got other ones which are like super hydrating, so you can kind of like take your pick on which one you want. I would recommend probably using it a couple of times a week, or just when you feel like you need that extra TLC with your eye area. It's so important to prep the eyes, because if you don't prep them correctly, then you're basically skipping, you're kind of like cutting corners. It's very easy to get things like fine lines, wrinkles, hollowness showing up even more than before when you put makeup on the under eye area, because although you're probably thinking, well, I'm covering it up, it's hiding it, it can actually end up enhancing those areas. And that's what we really want to do today, is kind of like make sure that we are trying to kind of soothe those areas and treat those areas as much as we possibly can before we even move on to makeup. And honestly, the result you're going to see is going to be pretty amazing. So I do have hollow under eyes. I'm just going to show you. So I'm going to take this off. The only thing I do have on my skin, by the way, is some skin tint, and my brows are done. Otherwise, I have nothing on, especially around my eye area. So I'm just going to take these. I've taken these off. I'm going to throw these away. As you can see, it's kind of nicely hydrated around this area, so it's a little bit kind of tacky, but not a lot. And I do feel like my under eyes are a little bit better, and you probably saw from the picture at the beginning, I feel like they were a little bit darker beforehand. So now that we've got this nicely prepped, it's kind of given a little bit of kind of, it's almost like how you put a mask on, you know, on your face. It's the same thing. Why are we going to treat our eye area any differently? Just because you've used eye patches like a mask on your eye area, it doesn't mean you're going to skip the eye cream. Now when it comes to your eye cream, I would highly recommend getting something which is very hydrating. You want something which almost has like a balmy texture. Something which is too fluid is not going to help when it comes to like keeping your concealer in place, ensuring that the hollowness isn't showing so much. So I really want to go for something which isn't overly creamy, overly fluid. So I'm going to use my MAC Hyper Real Serumizer Eye Treatment, because this is, although it's called a serumizer, it actually is a cream, and it is a cream kind of balmy texture. So I'm going to put a very small amount of this. You never really need a full pump of an eye cream, by the way. Half a pump is usually enough. Now what I do here is I smooth it on both fingers there, like so. So it's nicely kind of distributed over the finger there. And then what I do is I start patting around the eye area. Now you want to kind of go along the bone of the eye. So just kind of go into the bone. You don't want to go too close to your kind of lash line, because what happens is if this product starts kind of, which it will, by the way, everything moves a little bit closer over time to the lash area. So that's why you don't want to go too close, because it's naturally going to kind of move inwards anyway. If it goes too close, you can end up blocking your tear ducts, which is just here, and get irritated eyes or watery eyes, which we want to avoid. So ultimately, the biggest tip I can give you when it comes to watery eyes is kind of making sure that you don't disturb the tear duct area. So that's usually the area, just this bit here is usually the area that gets kind of almost, you just end up disturbing it, it becomes a little bit irritated, and that's when you can end up getting watery eyes. So really focus on keeping everything clear of this area if you suffer from watery eyes. Okay, so we have our eye cream on. Now, I would highly recommend that you kind of leave everything to settle down for at least a minute or so. Now you want to make sure once you've applied your eye cream that when you touch your eye area like this, it feels like it's hydrated. It shouldn't feel too dry, but it also shouldn't feel so kind of fluid where you can move your finger along very easily, like side to side. You want it to feel hydrated, but well kind of soaked into the skin. That's how your skin should feel. Now, let me just very quickly explain something when it comes to the dark circles and the hollowness. With the dark circles, it's pretty obvious usually, where you can kind of see the darkness. It's a difference in skin color between here and here. The problem is the hollowness that you get around this area can also end up making dark circles look worse. That's another issue, because the hollowness that you have is usually above this area here, right? So right here, normally the groove of the eye there, you will normally see the hollowness there, which is, as you can see, I've got some hollowness right around this area here. Yeah, it usually comes all the way from this area here, and it kind of, with some people it goes all the way around, and with some people it's just this area here, and some people it's just focused in the middle. It really depends on the kind of anatomy of your eye, of your like skin and everything there. The deeper that groove is, the more of a shadow it's going to create. So what you will find is kind of trying to address that hollowness is going to actually help the dark circle in turn. Rather than trying to focus on covering the dark circle as much as you can to begin with and hoping that the hollowness kind of covers up with it, which it isn't, because it's not something you cover, right? Because it's a difference in the level of the skin. It's not a discoloration that you're dealing with when it comes to hollowness. Rather than go all in trying to cover up the dark circles, think about the hollowness first. That's just a really easy way for you to kind of break it up a little bit, and it will help you to just mentally address it differently. You need to understand that hollowness and dark circles are two very different things, but the hollowness can end up making the dark circles look a lot worse than they actually are. So what we want to do first is try and kind of help the hollowness. Now, ultimately, we are not going to be able to fill the area. The only way you're going to get rid of hollowness permanently and in a very obvious way, which you won't be able to tell whether it's far away or close up, is if you basically were to fill this area with filler, right? But not everyone wants to do that, and I understand why. I really want to address this as though that's not a solution for you. That is not an option for you. So the only way that you're going to be able to kind of tackle it if you're not going to opt for filler is to actually try and give the illusion of it like just not being there and being like a little bit kind of not as bad as what it is, right? I'm keeping it real with you. I don't want you to think that we're going to all of a sudden have nicely filled under eyes. Like I want to be completely real with you. Like, this is not a permanent fix. This is just temporary, and it is really down to your technique as well. We want to be able to tackle a few issues here and to be able to kind of give ourselves longevity when it comes to our makeup. So we want to be able to try and give the illusion of a less hollow under eye area, but we also want it to last all day. We don't want it to be for 5 minutes and then literally 10 minutes later you're like, okay, I can see the hollowness. It's really obvious now, right? So we want something that's going to last all day. So my tip is here. The first step is we're going to try and tackle that hollowness first. Now, there's a couple of things that actually make the hollowness look even more obvious. So remember how I mentioned that the hollowness can end up making a dark circle look worse, because when it's hollow here, it creates more shadow there, meaning that it looks a little bit darker and your dark circles appear darker, right? So with the hollowness, let's completely put aside the dark circle for a second. Let's only talk about the hollowness there. The hollowness here can end up looking worse if you have a kind of like shine around this area here. This area here is beneath the hollowness, the hollow area, right? If that is shiny and then you've got this, which is kind of matte here, you're kind of seeing an obvious difference in finish of the skin, which then makes the hollowness look more obvious. So what we want to do is this whole area here, including the hollowness, we want it to be the same finish. That's the first thing we're going to do, is kind of mattify that entire area, which is even more important why you should hydrate your eyes prior to this step, which is why I really focused on like applying a mask, using a really good hydrating eye cream, making sure that it's nice and supple around the area before you move to this step. So for this step, we're going to be using the Laura Mercier translucent powder, but the ultra blur. So this is a powder that actually gives a little bit more of a blurring effect to the skin, which is going to be perfect for this next step. I have my powder here. Now I want to get a brush which is kind of perfect for applying it and kind of giving that really nice blurred finish, and I feel like the Real Techniques setting brush is the perfect powder for this. I'm going to grab a little bit of powder from here on the brush. I'm going to get the lid, put this into the lid and really buff that powder into the brush. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is pressing it into the under eye area, onto the groove, and also onto the skin beneath it. You've got to make sure you really press the product into the brush a few times before you go onto the skin. You shouldn't end up with a whole load of powder. It shouldn't look like you're baking or anything like that. So what we're going to do now is just press this on the under eye. And this is going to actually do a few things for you, which I'm going to explain to you. It's going to tackle the dark circle a little bit for you too. So we're going to keep pressing, and we're going to move down to this area here. Don't be afraid of kind of applying it on the other area of your skin here. It's really important that you actually do that. You can go in with a little bit more if you want. Now, I just want you to have a look at what this has done before we've even applied concealer. Can you see there? It's pretty amazing what it does, because hopefully you can see this through the camera, but this immediately blurs the under eye area, and we haven't even applied any concealer there at all, or color corrector. Now what this is doing, it's priming the under eye area. So this step that I've come up with is priming it. You're not using a liquid or cream primer, you're using this as your primer, because your main target area, the issue you're trying to target here, is the hollowness and dark circles. So this is really helping the hollowness here, and in turn, because it's made the skin where the hollowness is and the skin beneath the hollowness the same finish, you've got less of a shadow there, which in turn actually makes your dark circles look less than what they actually are. So can we see how this is actually a lot lighter than this side? And this is a translucent powder. There's no color to it, right? It's just an ultra blur translucent powder. I want you to try this yourself on one side first. Do the same thing as me so that you can really see the difference. So let's move on to the other eye. We're going to grab a little bit of powder. We're going to put it into the lid, really get that product buffed into the brush, and we're going to start pressing on the under eye area and then moving down onto the skin beneath the hollowness. Take some more powder if you want. There you go. See that? And it has helped that hollowness there. And now we've got an even finish on the entire under eye area, the hollowness and the skin, the area beneath the hollowness. Now, not only is this going to really help with everything we've already resolved, like the hollowness, like in helping that area and lightening the dark circles, because this is actually our eye primer on the under eye area, it's actually going to help for everything to stay put all day. So it's really working as a primer as well for that area. But like I said, I cannot stress this enough. If you're going to be using this trick of mine for your under eye area to prime your area there, you have to use the right type of hydrating eye cream. It's got to be something that is really nice and hydrating, but balmy. Remember that. So another option for your eye cream is the Drunk Elephant Ceramide AF eye cream. That's a very balmy eye cream as well. We're going to move on to color correction now. So this is where we're really focusing on trying to eradicate those dark circles. So if you have dark circles, I'm sure, like, look, at the end of the day, I can only work on myself, right? So I can only show you the level of dark circles that I have, and I don't hide it. I don't make them like look any lighter before I start filming. Like they really are the way they were beforehand, and some days they're darker and they're worse, and some days they're not as bad. I'd say today is probably a mediocre day, to be honest with you. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to focus on really kind of neutralizing the darkness there. So I understand that some of you may have much darker eye area than me, and you know, this is going to be a really good step for you guys. I don't always feel like I have to do this on myself, but again, I can only work on myself. I still want to show you this trick as well. Let's talk about color correcting. There are a few different colors within the color correcting world that do different things. They neutralize different types of tones on your skin. So let's just go through that very quickly. So let's start with green. What does green do? Green neutralizes redness on the skin. If you have any kind of redness, whether it be from acne, I know that some people who get acne can get really kind of like red around those areas. It's great for you. So you would still do it in this kind of order if you've if you're applying your makeup. There is a video that I have which is the correct order of makeup. Make sure you head on over to that because it shows everything there. This is great for kind of like any redness anywhere on the face. So if you have red under eyes, it's really good for that. If you have red cheeks or rosacea, like anything like that, the green is the color for you. That's going to neutralize the redness, ready for you to be able to move on to the next step of makeup. Then we have purple or lilac. This really helps to neutralize any dullness that you have in the skin. Now there are a lot of different colors here that I want you to understand, but you don't have to confuse yourself with all of them. So I would really focus on picking the one that works well for you, but I don't want to leave any kind of issue that you may have in your skin or color that you're trying to neutralize. I don't want to leave it out. So the purple stroke lilac is great for dullness in the skin. If you feel that your skin is quite dull, this is a good color corrector. So say for example, you feel like around the mouth area, it's a little bit dull than everywhere else, you could use purple or lilac. Purple or lilac will really help to brighten up the skin. Then you have yellow. So yellow is really good at brightening kind of purple undertones in the skin. It's good for like veins and things like that. So it's really good at brightening purple areas. Then you have orange. Orange really helps to neutralize any kind of blue undertone in the skin. So any dark circles. So anything which is similar to your dark circle area, like if that is quite kind of blue for you, like in terms of like a little bit veiny, like I, for example, have, you can see a few veins that are quite obvious around my under eye area. Like orange is really great for your dark circles. Orange is good if you have darker skin like me. If you have much darker skin, way darker than mine, then I'd go for like a red for the dark circles. If you have skin which is a lot lighter than mine, you may want to go for like a peach. And if you have skin which is much more on the paler side, you might want to go for something which is like pink, because that will help based on your skin color. Okay, so the color that we're going to use on myself today is orange. Now, the product I'm going to use is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll put it on the screen. This is number 3 Tan. And I really do like this color corrector because it's quite an opaque finish to it. Like it's not too fluid. It's very easy to manipulate on the skin. It's quite a kind of elastic product. I feel like it's easy to kind of get onto the skin and it stays put. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to use my finger here. I'm just going to go into that product. You don't really need a lot, to be honest with you. And I'm now going to actually apply this along the groove of the eye, because that's the area that really starts to, it really makes the dark circle a lot more noticeable, because it's the area that's like, it differentiates between the upper area and then the lower area of the skin there. So I am just gonna press here. And you'll see, because we actually primed the skin with that powder, it really does stay put. It's gonna literally sit on top of it. As I said, you don't want a lot of this. You want it to just sit on the skin. There you go. We're gonna do same thing on the other area here. If you only have the darkness around this area, then just apply it there. You don't need to apply it anywhere else. I find that it's always different for each eye, because this one is always a little bit more prominent with the dark circle because I have quite a strong vein here. This side is not really as bad as the other side. I'm gonna go along the upper lid, but kind of like this area. I feel like I'm quite hollow on this area here. I'm quite dark on this area here, so like not so much around here, but more this area here. So we've got the color corrector on now. That's going to kind of settle down and dry pretty quickly because of the type of texture that this specific color corrector is. It's going to stay put, it's going to dry, you're done. But also because of the fact we primed before with powder, it's really going to grip hold of it and it's going to stay put. It's not going to move anywhere. So we can move on to the next step, which is concealer. Now you want a concealer which is a very small amount, like very little, just a little bit brighter than your skin tone. You want something which is going to brighten up the area but also give you the coverage and not necessarily look too heavy either. You can use tart shaped tape if you want that kind of like full coverage. If maybe you've got more severe dark circles than me, then you can use that. I am going to use my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer because I feel like it works really well on the area, and this is in the shade Ginger. So I'm going to take this on the back of my hand. I'm not going to apply it with a wand straight to the eye area because honestly, this technique is way better. It just gives you more control over what you're doing. Now, I have my beauty blender. I'm going to spray this with a little bit of the MAC Prep and Prime. There you go. I just wrap a tissue around it, squeeze it, and that's nicely kind of like just a little bit damp for me. Now I'm going to go into this concealer. I'm going to really press into it, get it into the sponge. And what we're going to do here is just cover that under eye area here. We're going to go all the way across. So we're going to start here. And you're going to see how this is literally going to cover the whole area. And I don't want you to focus on going too close to the under eye. I want you to really focus on that groove. And then I want you to focus on just bringing it down, underneath. Do you remember when we were priming, we were really focusing on the area underneath the groove as well? You've really got to understand that this whole process is not just the under eye, it's the area beneath the groove as well, so that you can really make sure it all kind of melts into one another. There you go. Now we're not done yet, so don't think this is like the last step. You've got to be patient and trust the process. So we have done that area there. Now whatever's left on this sponge, I'm going to just go over the lid. I'm going to make sure I get into the inner corner there because I did apply some color corrector. There you go, I'm happy with that. See how that's covered it all up, but we're not finished yet with that. We're gonna go into the concealer, again, buff it into the sponge, and we're gonna go onto this side here. See how we're really making sure we're going onto the area beneath the groove as well. Focus on the groove and beneath it. Don't focus so much on going really close to the lash line because it's naturally going to end up there anyway. Okay, now whatever's left, we're going to take onto the lid. There you go. Okay, so we're done with the concealer. Okay, so we've got the concealer on. Now, if I just look down like this, I'm hoping you can really see. You still have that groove there. It's always going to be there, guys. I'm not a magician. You're not going to get rid of it completely, right? But what we want to do is, it's shiny, basically. So what we want to do is make sure we do what we did when we primed the lid, which is make sure the area is nice and like matte, but not just the groove, the under part of the groove as well, just beneath the groove. So what we're going to do here is, first off, let's just get rid of any creases. Let's do the eyelids first so we can get them out of the way. Let's just make sure there's no creases there. So I'm just soaking it up with the sponge. We're going to get that powder onto the brush. And we're going to just press. There you go, that's done. Now let's work on the under eye area. We're going to get rid of any product that's sitting in the crease there. There you go. I don't want to rely on a brush because I feel like I may not get that even finish all the way across. So we're going to use our powder puff. I'm going to dip into this Ultra Blur powder. We're going to really get it into the sponge there. And we're going to press all the way across. And we're going to make sure we go in underneath the groove as well. We're really making sure we are pressing this all over there. There you go. Now go to the other side. It's so important you do over the groove and below the groove. Now we're going to take that brush, make sure there's nothing on it. I'm just wiping it off on a tissue to make sure there's no excess product. Now this is where we are just going to dust this powder off very lightly. And this is going to really help the hollowness, as well as obviously the fact that we've already covered the dark circle and dealt with that by counteracting the color, the darkness there, by neutralizing it with the orange. I am just going to make sure I curl my lashes so that I don't look like completely dead here. Because even without mascara, I just feel like curling my lashes really does open them up. I don't want to apply any bronzer or anything like that because I really want you to just focus on the under eye area. This is what we were really focusing on targeting today. Hopefully you can see that we've now eradicated the hollowness temporarily by an illusion with all these different textures and finishes that we've used layered on top of one another. But also we've neutralized the darkness with the color correction as well. Everything works hand in hand. So like I said, hollowness can end up making dark circles look way worse than they actually are. So by trying to kind of target these areas individually, you're helping the other issue that you have as well. It's pretty crazy how this works because I feel like for me, I feel like my entire under eye is super smooth now, and hopefully yours is going to be the same. If you just follow every step perfectly, follow everything, pause it each time you need to pause it, like just follow every single step. Make sure that you are listening to all of the advice and the instructions I'm giving through this video, and then you too can help to just give the illusion of no hollow under eyes, a smooth finish, and eradicate those dark circles. If you felt like you got anything from this video today, I'd really appreciate if you could just do 3 things for me. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell button so that you don't miss any of my future videos. It really genuinely helps my channel out, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Don't forget, I do have an online publication called the Beauty Breakfast Club, and I answer a lot of your comments in there, your questions on there. So you might want to head on over. It's free, but there is a paid version, which is literally going to cost you less than getting yourself a coffee a month, and it gives you access to the entire site along with like a little chat room where we can chat too. So I would love to see you over there. Don't forget, everything's listed in my description. All the discount codes are there, so you want to make sure you grab them too. And I'm going to see you on the next video.